and competitiveness.
Question number 10, Holly Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Housing and asks, is he concerned that poor quality and overcrowded housing is contributing to high rates of infectious and respiratory diseases among Māori children?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Yes, that's why this government has, over the last 4 years, invested in more than 55,000 upgrades of state houses, including more than 32,500 upgrades relating to insulation, energy efficiency and heating. The government is also committing to the insulation of all state houses where practical by the end of 2012-13.
Holly Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What specific steps is he undertaking to reduce household crowding, given that incidences of rheumatic fever, an entirely preventable disease for which household crowding is a major risk factor, have increased rapidly under his government's watch, especially amongst Māori children?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr. Speaker, when we took over the housing portfolio, we discovered that a third of the state houses across New Zealand were either in the wrong place, of the wrong size, or in a serious state of disrepair. We're currently going through a reconfiguration of state houses, meaning that large houses with 1 or 2 people, those tenants are being offered smaller houses so we can shift larger families in. We have discovered that at every turn, though, every time we try and shift one person out of a large house or redevelop a quarter-acre or a half-acre section, other parties in this Parliament oppose it. That's right.
Katrina Shanks.
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, what other initiatives has the government implemented to help increase the quality of people's housing?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr. Speaker, the government's also introduced the very successful Warm Up New Zealand campaign to assist homeowners not in state houses and renters, not in state houses, and homeowners with insulation and clean heating. My very close colleague, the Minister of Energy and Resources, informs me that this has resulted in the retrofitting and insulation of 140,000 homes, of which 77,000 belong to people on low incomes. I would like to congratulate that Minister and also the help that he had from Hekia Parata and Jerry Brownlee.
Holly Walker.
Supplementary. Does he consider that housing availability is at crisis point in Auckland and now Christchurch, with families reporting doubling up in houses, sleeping with whole families in single rooms, and housing family members in cars and garages due to a lack of affordable state and private rental housing?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we recognise that there are pressure points, particularly in those 2 cities. In Auckland, we've announced that we will be increasing the number of state houses there, but of course there are other areas of the country where we don't require state houses. Unfortunately, other parties in this Parliament oppose us selling state houses in areas of low need and rebuilding houses in areas of high need. They oppose us from shifting people out of large houses, and they oppose us even when vandals and gang members abuse their neighbours. The other parties oppose us in this Parliament. We're looking at the problem. We want to house the right number of people in the right size house, and that's what we're doing.
Holly Walker.
Why won't his government address this housing availability crisis, reduce the incidence of infectious diseases, save millions in healthcare costs, and create up to 9,000 new jobs by adopting the Green Party's plan to build 2,000 new state and community houses by 2014?
The Honourable Phil Heatley.
Mr. Speaker, I think I made it clear that we are going to insulate, where practical, every single state house in this country, up and down this country, by the end of 2012-13. Furthermore, we're reconfiguring the state housing stock so we don't have single people rattling around in 4 bedrooms and other families crowded into 2. That party, the Green Party, opposes every single practical move which other New Zealanders see as sensible, including redeveloping half-acre and quarter-acre sections. That's what we're doing. They oppose it. I can't do anything about that.
Point of order, Kevin Haig.
Point of order. My colleague's question was specifically about whether or not the government would take up the suggestion of building 2,000 more state houses. The Minister's answer was an interesting one to another question, about what the government was going to be doing instead of that, he didn't actually address the question.
Something of a shame that the member's colleague didn't leave the question at that point instead of inviting the Minister to comment on Green Party policy. I mean, it's a dangerous move for questioners, members asking questions, to invite comment on their own party's policy. Now, the Minister clearly, in the answer to the first part of the question, you better correct me if I'm wrong, said no, that the government's strategy was to do other things than build a whole lot more state houses. If that's not a correct response to the first part of the question, then the Minister better correct that. But the second part, he was simply offering his views as invited on the Green Party policy. Is this point of order, Holly Walker?
Point of order, yes.
Point of order, Holly Walker.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table the key findings of a University of Otago report on the health of Māori children and young people, which shows that Māori children are 23 times more likely to contract rheumatic fever than non-Māori children.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Question number 11, Jamie Lee Ross.
Speaker, my question is to the Associate Minister of Transport and asks, what is the government doing to raise awareness about upcoming changes to the giveaway rules?
The Honourable Chris Tremain.
Mr Speaker, the government is investing in $1.2 million in an intensive public awareness campaign, including